Hi, everyone. We're here.
Hi, good evening, sir.
Hello, good evening.
This is
Good evening, sir.
good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. And to those who are going to be watching us, we are glad you are watching us now. This is actually the very first interview. It's the very first the Paul Anunaso Blog original series interview for Health Talk. And this week is an awesome one because we are looking at a very important topic, very important. And we have a very special guest who is doing an amazing job. And we are going to talk with her about what she's doing and about the topic we are considering today. So we are very happy to have you join us. Very quickly, I would like to introduce everybody to us. I am Paul Anunaso. Actually, my full name is Chukwubikem Paul Anunaso, and I'm a CNBC Africa opinion writer, and I'm also a civil engineer here in Lagos, and I'm the editor of the Paul Anunaso Blog. Over here, just below the screen, is Lillian Eze. I'd like you to please introduce yourself, Lillian.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity, sir. I'm Lillian. I'm a writer. I create content for people. I'm a nutritionist, dietitian, and I'm also an educator. And I help people to see a better part of themselves. Some people know me with Lily Wonder, and others know me with Wingspan. But I'm still my Lillian. So you can address me with any of the names.
Okay.
Lillian is actually the brain behind Health Talk series on the Paul Anunaso Blog. I must say that. He is the reason why Health Talk series has been running. I must confess, because what do I know about health? I'm a civil engineer, for crying out loud. What do I know about health? You know, I'm always there to edit and to guide, but Lillian is the brain box. If Lillian should leave me today, Health Talk is not going to work. So, thank you so much for being here, Lillian.
Thank you, sir.
I wish I had drums here to roll. I would have rolled some drums before going over to introduce our big guest for this week. But before I do that, let me just introduce the topic we are looking at this week. We are looking at sickle cell anemia. Okay. So many people are living with sickle cell, and we're going to hear some very interesting facts, things that I'm sure most of us didn't really know. Myself, there are some of them I never knew. I didn't even have a clue, not to talk of. So sit tight with us. You are going to enjoy it. And with that now, I'd like to introduce our very special guest. Her name is Titilayo Pearl Makinde. Titi.
Thank you very much.
I prefer to call you Pearl. Honestly, I prefer to call you Pearl.
That's what a lot of people call me.
Yeah, because honestly, with the kind of work you're doing, it's so amazing. What you're doing is so amazing, and it's Pearlish, if you permit me to say.
Thank you.
I prefer to call you Pearl. Please, can you just take a few seconds to introduce yourself to our audience?
Okay, good evening. Thank you for having me, Mr. Paul and Miss Lily. I'm grateful for the platform. I am Makinde Titilayo Pearl. I am a sickle cell warrior and advocate. That is, I live with sickle cell, and I am a sickle cell advocate passionate about promoting access to quality healthcare for individuals living with sickle cell, and to create awareness about the disorder while sharing my sickle cell story. So that's it basically about me. Sickle cell warrior advocate. I am a biology educator. That's to say, I'm a teacher, and I'm an entrepreneur. I run a shift business.
That's amazing. That's amazing. It's so great to meet you, and it's so great to have you here with us this week on Health Talk on the Paul Anunaso Blog. You're welcome once again, Pearl.
Thank you.
So very quickly, let's dive into what we have for today. I'd like to start with the first question. Can you tell us what sickle cell really is?
Okay. To start, I would, want to talk about sickle cell in very simple terms that everyone can understand. So simply put, I'll say sickle cell is a red blood cell disorder, characterized by abnormal shape of the cells. That is, in normal red blood cells, in people with other genotypes other than sickle cell, the red blood cells are round, and with sickle cell, the red blood cells form a C shape or crescent shape, or sickle shaped, as we have the name to be sickle cell. So sickle cell is a red blood cell disorder that can be inherited when two parents with incompatible genotype come together to make babies. So that's simply.
Okay. I think that's I didn't really know that it was basically a disorder in the blood cells. I knew that it has something to do with the blood, but the way you have explained it now is pretty much clear to me. In other people who do not have sickle cell, the red blood cells are round, but for those who are living with sickle cell, the red blood cells, they form a crescent shape or a C shape. Okay, that's understood. Okay.
Yes, that's.
Okay. So what for people who have that disorder, what's the impact generally on them? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, so I was asking, for people who live with that condition, what is the impact on them?
Yes. Okay.
Pearl? Hello?
No, there really a lot. The psychosocial impact of there's a psychosocial impact. There's the it affects increase, and it's at a very alarming rate. It has its own impact on the life of people living with sickle cell. There are a whole lot, really, a whole lot, but psychosocial has been one huge one.
Okay. When you say psychosocial, can you throw a little more light?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
Okay, so I was saying, sickle cell complications are broadly classified under two: the medical complications and psychosocial complications. When we say psychosocial, we're talking of. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
But your video has gone off.
And
Hello?
you need to unmute yourself. You're muted.
How about now? Can you hear me now, please?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I can.
I got disconnected and then it brought me back again. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. So
So
I don't know if I missed any
continue
question.
now. You can start again so that we will connect properly.
Okay. Okay. I was saying sickle cell affects, both affect people who live with sickle cell medically and otherwise. When I say psychosocial, this will have to do with,
Yes, it's network.
Yeah, it's probably a network glitch. Hello? Oh, we might have lost her there.
I think she's no longer in the meeting.
Yes. We have lost her there. Okay, sorry for that interruption. We had a network glitch, but we are back. So right before that, Pearl was talking to us about the impact of sickle cell on the carriers. So already we understand from what she told us that if in people who have sickle cell, the red blood cells are shaped in a C form or in a crescent form. So that is what actually differentiates those who have sickle cell and those who do not have. So Pearl, can you start again and tell us what the impact is on those who have sickle cell?
Okay. Yeah, like I was saying, the impact of living with sickle cell anemia, but then I classify them under two major topics. The clinical, I classify them under two major topics. Those are clinical or medical complication burdens of sickle cell and the psychosocial burdens. Talking about the medical or clinical burdens of living with sickle cell, you're talking of having to live with, certain conditions that requires daily treatment, or for example, like a leg ulcer where you have to clean the ulcer maybe twice in a week or thrice in a week, or you're talking about the burdens of living, of taking drugs every day of your life. You're talking of the burden of finances, and then psychosocially, you're talking of, living with sickle cell, the depression that it brings alone, saying that you may, you would be stigmatized, the stigmatization that comes with living with sickle cell. Now I'm talking about psychosocial, impact, the fact that you would be stigmatized, talking about, even neglect from family members sometimes as to maybe you're faking your symptoms or you're just trying to be lazy. So all of this and even more are most of the impacts of living with sickle cell. Finances, the burden of the financial burden, basically it's a life of pains. So anything that comes with a life of pains will be regarded as, the impact.
So when we hear that someone who has sickle cell is having a crisis, what does it really refer to? Can you hear me? Well, can you hear me?
Okay. Like I mentioned that, yes, I can.
I can hear you.
Okay, please go ahead.
Like I mentioned earlier, in sickle cell, yes, I can. Okay. Like I mentioned earlier, in people living with sickle cell, like I mentioned, about people living with sickle cell, the crises are, the cells are C-shaped. And I forgot to mention that in sickle cell, the cell is called sickle cell because of the shape of the cells that form to sickle. And that's why it's called sickle. We know how it looks. So in sickle cell, those cells, when our cells move through tiny blood vessels, to transport blood. But in sickle cell, because of the shape of the cells, when we have two things that are like, in C-shaped, when they move through blood vessels, they get clogged. When some things are around and they move through blood vessels, they just move, they might hit themselves, but they go freely. But with sickle cell, those cells get clogged because of the shape. And then this is what causes pain crisis. So in whatever body parts that sickle cells get clogged, it could be in the parts, wherever the cells get clogged, rather, that's where we have sickle cell crisis, also known as pain episodes.
So in other words, most times when someone living with sickle cell is having crisis, the excruciating pain is involved, correct?
Excruciating. It could be from mild to severe, depending on the body part and other factors.
Okay. Wow. I never knew that. That means so much pain is associated with having sickle cell.
And it's not just the pain, living with sickle cell goes way above the crisis. People have known this to be a sickle cell crisis, they have crisis. It goes way beyond that because sickle cell can affect any part of the body. Like any part of the body that comes to your mind right now, sickle cell is likely to affect that part. So it goes way beyond, the pain that we go through. That, okay, maybe when the blood gets clogged or something. Sickle cell can affect the eyes, it can affect the nose, it can affect the stomach, it can affect the legs with different complications. So it goes way above. And all those complications definitely are painful. But so sickle cell goes beyond, just crisis.
Okay. Wow. Could this be the reason why the hub that you lead, Ilorin Warriors Club, a hub, sorry. Is this why the term warrior is used?
Yes. The term warrior was coined by Ms. Tosinola Weisman, who saw that, the use of the word sickler was considered derogatory. In Nigeria, when you mention sickle cell, what comes across to your mind is a sickly, frail individual. And then somehow you begin to associate, being sick to that person who you call a sickler. So there was a need to, and because people who live with sickle cell fight for their lives daily, that's just the truth. You might be battling 3 complications at the same time or more. So the term warrior was coined because people who live with sickle cell fight for their lives daily in different ways.
Okay. And are there common things that could trigger a crisis for a warrior?
Yes, there are. Usual common triggers are, cold, which is very, which is one of like the real triggers of sickle cell. Cold, stress, fatigue, yes, high altitudes too. That's why sometimes you're afraid to go on a flight. Heat sometimes, and then dehydration. We do not joke with dehydration because it's usually a major crisis trigger.
Oh, I see. Wow, this is illuminating. I'm getting to understand so much more about this. So you are the president of Ilorin Warriors Club. And from what you just told us now, it's called Warriors because it refers to people living with the sickle cell condition, and it talks about how much they struggle daily with the condition and all the things they have to deal with. So what is it like? What is Ilorin Warriors Hub about? What do you guys do? What is it about? Just tell us a bit about Ilorin Warriors Hub.
Okay. So the Warriors Hub is the Pearl Sickle Cell Initiative. And as Ilorin Warriors Hub, we are passionate about providing support for people living with sickle cell. You know, the Pearl Sickle Cell Initiative does a lot of things outside management, but with the Ilorin Warriors Hub, it was created as a system that would cater for people living with sickle cell. So at Ilorin Warriors Hub, we offer free medical supplies as to routine drugs. We also offer psychosocial support, you know, in terms of, you know, we are able to explain what we go through to ourselves in terms of stigma. And we also offer free counseling services for people who live with sickle cell. So the Ilorin Warriors Hub is made strictly of people living with sickle cell and their families. So it's like a, you know, like a brotherhood of, you know, we understand ourselves.
More like a support system for people living with the
support
condition,
system, right? Yeah.
Okay. But
Yes.
Pearl Sickle Cell Initiative is a wider group. I think it also involves people that do not have the condition, right?
Yes, it involves people that do not have the condition. At the Pearl Sickle Cell Initiative, our volunteers are people who live with sickle cell and people who do not live with sickle cell. But with the Ilorin Warriors Hub, it's strictly for people who live with sickle cell or their parents or maybe spouse or siblings.
Okay. Lillian, I'm wondering if you have some questions to ask or some comments to make. Hello, Lillian. Lillian.
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm
Hello?
wondering if you have
Can you hear me?
some questions or comments.
You said something that those living with sickle cell, that is not really the pains alone. Any part of their body can be damaged. There's this thing that we usually believe when I was a little anyway. I don't know if it is still applicable now. They told us that if you want to see someone who has sickle cell, you should look at their legs, that to reflect. I don't know. How true is that?
Okay, thank you for that awesome question. Really? Okay, it's like, okay, it's not, you can't really see how I look. You know, the belief that people who live with sickle cell are usually frail, you know, sickly is a myth. Yes, people who live with sickle cell may be slim most of the time, but it's that looking at their legs to know if they live with sickle cell is not so. You can only determine someone's genotype by a simple blood test. You can't determine by the way they look. Okay, if you would say that, okay, I wish I could stand and then you see my leg, you probably said, so, and the people who are, I do not want to use the word, okay, people who are plus sized, like I mean really fat, who live with sickle cell. Wow. Yes, and there are thousands of them. And then I believe that I'm not slim and so, you know, frail. So you know now that people are not always, you know, what people think we are.
Okay.
Another thing, why is it that most people that I know, do you know why when I saw you, I was like, I need to really know this lady. I need to know her in person, and I went further to do what I did. I love your courage, and I just like your. You know, some people they hide it even while growing up. Anybody, and even in school, teachers will not dare mention it that this person has a sickle cell. Even as I've grown, people hide it. They will just whisper it. You might hear it through rumor or any means, but nobody will boldly come and tell you I'm a sickle cell patient or this. But I just like the way you presented your own. What do you think makes them to hide it?
Great. This is Nigeria, or okay, this is Africa. People stigmatize everything they do not understand, even outside sickle cell. You know, once people do not understand something and they feel like this is what people say about it, they conclude that, okay. So the reason people do not come out about their genotypes, especially people who live with sickle cell, is because of stigma. And there are a lot of sickle cell myths that makes it even difficult for people who live with sickle cell to come out to talk about it. You know, they believe that, okay, people who live with sickle cell cannot live long, that, oh, they cannot live up to 18, or if they live up to 18, they will stop having crises or something. Or some will say they cannot have kids. Some will say, oh, they have to always, you know, visit the hospital and all that. So because of all this, people do not want to associate with such labels, so they hide. And they do not just hide because they do not want to associate with what they live with. They hide because of the treatments that they get from people.
Yeah.
You know, someone that you live with. Imagine telling someone who wants to employ me now that I live with sickle cell. The first of all goes through, are you sure you can, you know, you can work? Are you sure you won't be falling ill and all that? So it's because of the treatment from the society. Society has built us to be time bombs waiting to explode. So people who live with sickle cell have to draw into their shell. Or like at least.
Okay, but do you have any advice you can give to intending couples and other people and people that are really having sickle cell warriors at home? Is there any advice you have for them?
Okay. For intending couples, I always say sickle cell is a life of pains. No matter how much I try to come up and say, oh, I live with sickle cell, I'm human, I'm doing well. I want you to know that sickle cell is, the truth is, deep down, I know that sickle cell is a life of pains. And for people, intending couples, most times I do not like the idea of telling intending couples, because most times, the love is maybe a few weeks to the wedding, So what I tell intending couples is take your genotype seriously. Love is beautiful. Love is important. But genotype, I always say, should come first, really. Because when the issues arise, when it happens that you're not compatible with your partner, and then the issue of sickle cell arises, love may fade. Most times, love would fade because, you're having to sleep with your child at the hospital, you're having to spend money you're supposed to be spending on something else. So the simple advice usually is, if you are not compatible with your partner, and how do you know this? A lot of people believe that they are AA because they don't fall sick. That's not so. A lot of people believe that they are AA because they are really chubby. A lot of people say they are AA because their parents say that they are AA. So, you go out now and ask everybody's AA. So the advice I give to youths, not just intending couples, teenagers, is that go get tested even before you begin to think of a relationship. And if you're already in a relationship, it's time to go get tested. And it does not stop at getting tested. It goes to getting tested, getting your partner tested, and then it doesn't stop at those two. It stops at knowing if you are compatible. Get tested, get your partner tested, and see if you're compatible. And the simple thing is, once you go get tested in at least 3 labs, at least 3 laboratories, different laboratories, and your genotype is not AA. If you get tested and your genotype is not AA, the person you should get married to, or you want to make babies with, should be AA. It's like I cannot just say must be AA, because you have your choice and can decide to bring children to live a life of pains. But I strongly advise people that if your genotype is not AA, the person you should be thinking of making babies with should be AA.
Okay.
So for those who live with sickle cell already, it is not the end of the world. Yes, it might seem like, okay, the future is bleak, you're not sure what tomorrow holds, but it is not the end of the world. And you must know first that you are first human before sickle cell. You must live your life like human and not put sickle cell at the forefront. I also advise people who live with sickle cell to, do what they must, sickle cell, take your drugs, do all of that, but make sure you have something to offer outside living with sickle cell. It's not just when people ask you, what do you know? I live with sickle cell, and it's just that. But it should be something you have to offer. Okay, some people say, oh, I live with sickle cell and all the guys are dumping me. It's like it's a reality here in Nigeria and even around Africa. Oh, I live with sickle cell, people do not understand and then they jump in me. Most times the first question I ask is, aside sickle cell, what have you offered in this relationship? What can you offer to the world? So that's why I tell people, you're human first. You should do everything humans would do.
Yeah, that's very, very, that's a key statement, I think. Because I think when a person presents himself or herself from a place of value, it gives you more currency to trade with in the world, in the society at large. I think that's what you're trying to say.
True.
Yeah. So I think that's a great point you made there. But I would like to go back to what you said about stigmatization.
Okay.
Can you tell us, like, how real is stigmatization towards people that live with sickle cell?
It's so real, like really real, because it's almost everywhere. It's every day. It is so real. It happens at the workplace. It happens on the road. It happens everywhere. It happens maritally. Okay. For example, you live with a sickle cell complication, for example, a vascular necrosis, which is like, let me just simply put, like damage to the hip, where you need like a hip replacement surgery. And then you're having to walk with a cane after your surgery, and people are like, this one has sickle cell, the look and all. Maritally, personally, I experienced marital stigmatization where the guy I was dating, his mom just called one day and said, where are you? And he was like, oh, I'm with Pearl. And she said, you are still with that girl who's going to make you a widower in a few years.
Wow.
So, and it's so you're going out to get jobs. They're asking you, you want to let your employer know the truth about you. So you have to tell them I live with sickle cell. Though we advise sometimes that just be calm, let them know what you have to offer before you come up with this. But then if anything happens and you mention you have sickle cell before a job, most times, 80% of the time, people who live with sickle cell do not get those jobs because they live with sickle cell. So it's so real, really, really real, because when you're trying to, okay, sometimes you don't want to tell people you live with sickle cell. As a student in the university or polytechnic, you're always having to go to the school clinic.
Yeah.
Somehow your friends will tell, and then somehow they run from you. So it's so real. It's everywhere, in the workplace, everywhere, really.
And I think much of this comes from our belief system that says that it's as if in our subconscious minds we have been raised to think that people who have sickle cell can never have normal lives. I mean, here I am. I'm looking at you. You don't look lanky to me. You don't look sad to me. You don't look, in fact, if you didn't tell me you have sickle cell, frankly, I wouldn't believe it, But I think it's because our mind, just like you said, the person, your former partner that you were with, for the mom to have said, you're still with that lady who is going to make you a widower in the next few years, that tells you the kind of mindset, that's actually the mindset that most people at least in this part of the world, tend to have. And that's the kind of mindset we had to deal with when it came to Africa. You know, we literally had to hound it on people and make them understand that people who have AIDS, that somebody has AIDS doesn't mean it's going to die tomorrow or next tomorrow. And in the beginning, people didn't really understand that. But I think now, with all the antiretroviral drugs and other treatments that are available, we are seeing people who have AIDS, they live long, you know. So I think part of what we are talking about in this episode of Health Talk is that there needs to be a mind shift in the society, you know, especially when it comes to the issue of sickle cell. There needs to be a mind shift. We need to start seeing people who have sickle cell as warriors. Like you said, they are warriors, and warriors don't have to die. What warriors have to do is to
Honestly.
warriors don't have to die, they have to triumph. So we need to start seeing them as an integral part of our society, of our world, and give them the same opportunities that every other person has. I believe it starts from there, a mind shift, a fundamental mind shift, which I believe if it does not happen, the younger generation will also buy that same mindset. So for those who are watching this episode of Health Talk, we really, really need to have a mind shift in this area. If you're an employer out there, you don't need to stop someone who has sickle cell from getting employed in your establishment. I mean, if you are concerned about the person's health, you could actually give the person a less stressful role. I believe that could work, a less stressful role, or make other provisions that could better enhance the person's stability health-wise, and not completely dismissing the person just because the person has sickle cell. I think that it speaks deeply to the psychosocial effects you talked about earlier, right, Pearl?
Yes, it does. Yes, and you mentioned something about mind shifts, which is so important, really. But then, you know, I run inclusive sickle cell awareness projects, and I believe in, okay, create awareness, let people stop this, and then help people already live with the disorder. If there would be, okay, like a system, or if there would be a kind of mind shift, it has to be done carefully. Because we do not want to paint sickle cell in a light that, couples will now, with their eyes open, walk into having kids with sickle cell. So mind shift has to be done carefully. As to, okay, yes, people who live with sickle cell can live normal lives, but don't try it. Don't even think, okay, don't even bring your children into it. As to, okay, I want my children can live normal lives. Okay, yes, they can come. The truth is, we sometimes just want to make sickle cell, just look good. The truth is, we know what we go through. So there has to be a careful mind shift. Let people know that those who live with sickle cell now, are humans. But in the nearest future, if we continue to have kids with sickle cell in 5-10 years from now, that should not be encouraged. So the mind shift should be for now.
So you're saying the mind shift we're talking about should be aimed at producing two results. The first result would be that those who are living with sickle cell presently should be seen as humans who can have very normal lives with as long as they are given the right support system that they need. And then the second approach would be to say, while we are saying that one, we also are saying, please, nobody should bring in a child into this world with sickle cell. And I think that's also very profound. That's very important.
Yes.
I for one, I believe that if you're a guy and you see a lady you like, I think the very first thing you should find out is what is your genotype and what is her genotype. Even before you ask her, that is what I believe as a person. I believe that
should be.
You know, it should be the first question. You want to say something?
No, so that's what it should be really, because you know, I think I didn't mention there are over 700 genotypes in the world, and
What?
I think there are over 700 genotypes in the world.
Okay.
And yeah, Nigeria accounts for 6 out of this, you know, out of the 700. Though you could find other genotypes outside the 6 I would mention, but then there are other types, you know, the AA, the AS, the AC, SS, SC, and CC.
Okay.
So most people, once it is not AS, they believe they can get married to anybody.
Okay.
Because the what rings in our head when it comes to genotype talk is AS and AS, don't get married. AS. So when they see other genotypes, they feel they can just go ahead. So we must note that whatever genotype is not AA, like I said earlier, has to, you know, pair with someone who is AA. Also, there are other sickle cell types.
Okay.
You know, what comes to the average Nigerian mentioned sickle cell is SS.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sickle cell, there are other sickle cell, yes. So there are other sickle cell types. There are around, I think, about 6 of them. The SS, which is the most common, the SC, the SD, SE, SO, and then, you know, and the likes. There are cases of people with SB, thalassemia, in Nigeria.
Wow.
But then these are SS and SC are the most common in Nigeria. But you find these other types, you know, scantily, but then these are the 2 other types. So people should know that it goes beyond I'm not AS, so I can marry, but it's not so. So that's what I thought to chip in.
Okay. Okay. Can you give us a bit of an idea about the statistics of people living with sickle cell in the world and in Africa, in Nigeria? Can you give us a little bit of the statistics?
Okay. I would not give actual statistics as to people living with sickle cell in the world, but I can give as to Nigeria and the number of sickle cell births annually in the world.
Okay.
In the world annually, 300,000 births are recorded annually all over the world. And sadly, our country, Nigeria, accounts for up to 150,000 of these births.
300,000 what?
300 sickle cell births, like sickle cell kids that are born yearly.
In the whole world?
Amounts to up to 100,000. In the whole world, yes. So, and Nigeria accounts for 150,000 of this birth. That is 50%. So, okay, yes, that's 50%. And then there are at least 4 million people living with sickle cell in Nigeria.
Wow.
At least, because when I was going through statistics and then I was seeing that, and I said, okay, nobody ever counted me. It means it's 4,000,001. And I know a few of my friends who were never counted, you know. So it goes beyond 4 million, but the statistics that we have states that we record over 150,000 births, sickle cell births every year in Nigeria alone, not in Africa, not in, you know, somewhere. In Nigeria alone, out of 300,000, that means the remaining 150,000 beds are shared amongst countries all over the world. You can see that this is, you know, it's alarming.
You know what that tells me? It just tells me we have a problem in Nigeria.
A huge one, really.
We have a problem on our hands. We really, really need to tackle this issue. And it goes back to that mind shift that we talked about earlier. We really, really need that mind shift, especially in the issue of getting married. A lot of people today, I think this has to even go all the way down to secondary school students.
Yeah.
Teach them about this, because
that's what we
already you see, by the time they are in JSS3, SS1, they're already getting with themselves. They are making partners from of themselves, you know. They are getting into relationships and all that, and it's very, very possible for them to, you know, fall deeply in love, and they cannot let go of themselves anymore. Tomorrow they are married, or they may not even get married. They may, the lady may take in, you know, out of wedlock, and you know, things like that. And but the most important thing is another child has been born with sickle cell, you know. So I think there should
Yes.
be a very strategic, there should be a strategic organization, you know,
Yes.
and, a strategic push really to create more awareness about this, going all the way down, not even just for people who are of marriageable age who are trying to get married, but maybe going down now to even secondary schools, talking to them and
Yes, we do that. But
so can you
yes,
tell
at
us,
least we.
can you tell us a bit about the programs? You mentioned that a Learning Warriors Hub, I keep saying club, a Learning Warriors Hub. You mentioned that there are a lot of programs you people do. Can you shed more light on the programs that you do?
At Pearl's Sickle Cell Initiative, what? Learning Warriors Hub.
A Learning Warriors Hub.
Okay, like I mentioned earlier, the free drugs, routine drug donations, the one-on-one counseling for people who live with sickle cell, and that's for a Learning Warriors Hub. Like, so everything centers around.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, hello.
Sorry.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, that everything we do centers around, in the Learning Warriors Hub, centers around support, being a support system for people living with sickle cell, drugs. We pay hospital bills when we can.
Wow. That's
We
awesome.
offer counseling in special cases. We help to raise funds for special surgeries. You know, there are a lot of surgeries attached to living with sickle cell. It could be for the eyes, it could be for the hips, it could be for the leg. So there are a lot of surgeries attached to living with sickle cell. So we help to raise funds for our members who live with sickle cell. But in Pearl Sickle Cell Initiative, we do outside management of people living with sickle cell.
Okay. So can you tell us more about that, the programs that Pearl Sickle Cell Initiative runs?
Okay. Pearl Sickle Cell Initiative stands for Advocacy and Management of Sickle Cell. Advocacy, we create awareness wherever people are gathered. We don't wait for conferences or any major gathering. Secondary schools have been our major. In fact, we reached out to thousands of students. We have a Catch Them Young scheme that is handled by the external communicators in that regard. Yes. So the Catch Them Young program has really gone far. So in Kwara State, we've gone even outside the capital. We've gone to at least 50 secondary schools in Kwara State, and then was still good. Yes. So both private and government schools in Kwara State, we also offer free genotype tests annually.
Wow.
So, and we offer at least 300 people every year, and we've done that for 3 years now. So our free genotype test scheme, people just walk in and get tested, get their genotype test done for free. And after the genotype test, for those who are probably not compatible with their partners, we offer free genetic counseling sections for people living with sickle cell. So once their results are out, we reach out to let them know, okay, you're not compatible with your partner and all that. We also go to religious gatherings. We go to mosques and churches. We visited at least 20 churches.
Wow.
We've visited, I think, 5 now in Kwara State. So it's going further. We said, you know, the Ansarudin, most of religious organizations, we've gone to marketplaces. June 19 was World Sickle Cell Day, and in Kwara State, we went to all the major markets in the capital of Kwara State. Markets, shop to shop sickle cell awareness on June 19, and we hope to take the free genotype test to them. The free genotype test for this year coming up in September, we hope to take it to them. So there are a lot of our programs, and we also offer medical and psychological support.
Okay. Lillian, I'm wondering if you would like to jump in here.
No, sir.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. No, let us continue.
Sorry.
Okay, I was wondering if you had any questions. Or none for now?
None for now.
Okay, so I'll go back to you, Pearl.
Yes.
You've really talked about so many programs you run. First, the programs that Ilorin Warriors Hub runs. And one of the ones that really piques my interest is you talked about free distribution of drugs to sickle cell patients, all year round, right?
Yes.
That's I know that the drugs are, right? I know they're not cheap. So how do you manage?
Okay, to raise funds.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, the drugs are not cheap, and it even gets, more expensive by the day. So how we're able to reach out to individuals, because we started by reaching out to, government bodies, but then no help was forthcoming. So we had to, use what we had. We had to leverage on people, partnerships, private partnerships that we got. There are a lot of people who live with sickle cell who are doing well for themselves. So we reach out to them, and they understand what it feels like. Most of them growing up, it was difficult for them to get, these drugs and, good management. So it was easier for us to reach out to them and say, okay, some people live with sickle cell and cannot afford it. So most of our donations come from people who live with sickle cell and are ready to, part with, something. And then from individuals, random individuals who have keyed into the vision over the years, and sometimes from, corporate bodies. At least once we had the support of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria for drug addictions. Yes, and that's been the real major one. But aside that, it's individual support, really, friends and family.
Okay. I believe, I think with this, it's definitely important for more organizations and even the government to step in and provide more support, especially to organizations like the one you lead, really trying to make a difference in this area. I really hope that they are listening. Someone somewhere who can put in a word is listening to this interview today, and will definitely take an action to not just to fund or support Ilorin Warriors Hub and Pearl Sickle Cell Initiative, but to also help fund many others like them, and probably even start many more, because we're talking about the importance of a mind shift taking place, and that mind shift will not take place if we just fold our hands or just allow a few people. We need to make noise about this, the same way we made noise about AIDS, the stigma around AIDS. I believe that's the same way we need to make noise about the stigma that sickle cell patients have to deal with, and also the effects of going ahead to get married and make babies with someone who you know that you will definitely have sickle cell kids with. So I think it's very, very important. We need to start taking this very seriously as a nation and as a society. And as I think also religious leaders, church leaders, mosque leaders also need to take the bull by the horn. You know, I think there are in some churches, I definitely give kudos to some churches who, at the very point in time you come and say you want to marry somebody, the first question they ask you is, okay, what is your genotype? Go for a test. In fact, they don't ask you, they send you to do a test. You know, I give kudos to those ones, but I wish that beyond testing people when they come and say, I want to get married, I wish church leaders and mosque leaders will also make it a point of duty to always talk about this from time to time. I think it will help create the needed awareness, you know, around it. So I definitely think that's a very important work you're doing. You also mentioned the free skill acquisition programs that you run. Can you shed a bit more light on that? How do you go about that in Ilorin Warriors Hub? You're mute.
Okay, sorry. The free skill acquisition program was born out of our desire to see that sickle cell warriors can fend for themselves. You know, you're chased out of jobs. You can't really, you know, work for people because they feel you're not fit. So it was born out of our desire to see that sickle cell warriors can fend for themselves, and they do not always come back to us.
Okay.
Because
I see.
Sickle cell, yes, sickle cell crises never announce themselves. You cannot say, oh, I'm not going to have my crisis tomorrow. You can find a person who lives with sickle cell who will just fall, who might be fine right now, and the next 30, 40 minutes, they are healed. And then 2 hours later, they are fine. So we saw that we cannot keep giving hospital bills over and over again, no matter how much we get or how much support. So we thought of a way to create a sustainable means of, you know, employment for people living with sickle cell. And rather than just put them in jobs or fix them up with, sometimes we get to fix people up in jobs, maybe when we find out that, okay, employers are ready to take people who live with sickle cell. But we saw that we needed to go a step further to give them something to do, something they can continue to do, and things that they can do at their own pace. Okay. You know, we thought of graphic design. You know, you can take jobs from a client when you know you're very fine. We have soap making. You can make your soap and package them and distribute, and be at home and make your money. We thought of hairstyling for those sickle cell warriors who do not have certain conditions that may not allow that. You know, there are some sickle cell complications that will not allow you to stand or sit for long. So this the courses that we take in the free skill acquisition programs were just to create sustainable means of employment and feeding, at least for those who live with sickle cell, so they do not always come back, you know, asking for more.
Okay, that's a very, very nice work. It's a great work you people are doing, and I strongly commend that work you're doing, because it's definitely adding value. I mean, not just at the level of them gainfully employed, but I think it also has the potential to lift the economy, because, hey, you're raising entrepreneurs. The more they are able to take care of themselves, run their own business at their own pace, you know, they could become employers of labor off of that. So it's definitely very, very nice, you know. So can you tell us a bit more about what, as a person, you have told us a lot about the amazing work you do as president of the Ilorin Warriors Hub and Pearl Sickle Cell. Can you tell us, what is it that motivates you as an individual?
Okay. Funnily and amazingly, pain motivates me, really.
Wow.
Because, yes, I know sometimes when I say it feels funny even to me, but then I think pain motivates me because I'm able to, I'm reminded of why I must work. I'm reminded that the next generation must not face this. So pain, my pain, and seeing other people who live with sickle cell warrior go through pain and all that they have to go through, finances, and all that has been my motivation. Pain, basically, pain, and not wanting the next generation to go through this. Because honestly, I say it and sincerely, I do not wish this pain for my enemy. I don't even have any way, but then I do not wish it for my enemy. Then imagining that maybe someone around me could have a child with sickle cell, it drives me nuts, and I just want to talk about sickle cell pain.
Anytime you want to talk, we'll definitely give you a platform to do that talking, because we definitely need to listen. I mean, going by the statistics alone that you gave us, half of the sickle cell death in the world happen in Nigeria. I still can't get over that. My head is still spinning on that one alone. It shows there's really something wrong here. We need to look into it and get it solved before it causes further damage, to us. So I think Lydia wants to say something.
I have a question for her.
Okay, please.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay. How possible do you think that we can eradicate more new birth for sickle cell warriors? Is it possible to eradicate it in the nearest future? And if possible, for how many years time? Can it be possible to eradicate sickle cell from Nigeria, or bring it to the barest minimum?
Exactly. That's the actual part, bringing it to the barest minimum, because I do not believe that we could have a sickle cell free world somehow. I don't, as much as a lot of people are talking about this, a sickle cell free world might be impossible, because there are some people who will never listen to you. Because there are some people whose pastors in Nigeria in this century are telling them that genotypes can change. And so when they hear that, they feel they can go ahead and pray for genotype change when the baby comes out. And then, as we try to go to the grassroots too, we do not joke with grassroots awareness. Some grassroots, some communities might never be able to get this message in the next 10 years. We might say, okay, we are on, we're everywhere, but some communities might not be able to. I went to a school sometimes before the lockdown, and then we had to speak, schools that these students were planning to write WAEC, and we had to speak Yoruba to them to get them to understand what genotype was. And in a class of 500, only one of the students knew her genotype.
Wow.
And that one student was because she used to come to town, that's in Ilorin, and then the remaining 499 students, none of them ever had anything about genotype. None of them, and after WAEC, they are most likely to get married. Yeah, most of them. And so imagine they get married and have kids. Those, in fact, and as I speak, there are people who still have kids 1 year old with sickle cell now, and we're praying that they live long, right? So sickle cell,
yes,
might not exactly be eradicated, but we can bring it to the barest minimum,
through education, I think.
Education, basically. Education. That's all we can do. We can't impose it on people. We can only guide them towards making informed decisions.
Yes, I think that's it. Making informed decisions.
So leveraging on technology.
Even though I would like to make a comment on something you said earlier. yeah, some religious leaders tell their congregations that genotypes can change, you know. Now, I'm going to comment on that because I'm a man of faith, okay? I'm a man of faith, okay? So I'm going to have to comment on that and share my opinion about perhaps
Okay.
can also throw more light on it. Okay, so here's what I think, or here's what I believe. Okay, let me just tell you a story as a way to start. When I was in secondary school, okay, I had this classmate of mine who had sickle cell. We used to live on the same streets at Lagos, here in Lagos. So I would see him sometimes. He will be down, he will be downcast and all that. And I used to share the word of God then in school, and he knew me for that. And sometimes he would come around me being inquisitive to know more about God, to hear more about God. At that time, I didn't really know I didn't know of his condition at that time. It was a particular day when we were walking home from school together. He told me of his condition, and I became so troubled. I was so worried about it. And I can't remember where we did that again, whether it was the following day at school or whether it was right there on the road or what. I've forgotten. Okay, I think it was a day after, because I remember having to muster courage to do what I did. So I think I actually went home to think about it and pray about it before going to. What I did was I went to him one day and I asked him, "Do you know that God can heal you?" He was crazy. You know God can heal you. Do you know that your genotype can change? And he believed. He believed. You know, I literally convinced him that God could do it. And we prayed. We held hands together and we prayed and asked God to change his genotype. Well,
yeah.
I've forgotten how many weeks it was after that. I was walking home from school one day or so, and he just walked up to me and said, "I went for a test and I discovered I'm now AA."
Wow.
I didn't know what to think of it. Frankly, it was the prayer. I believed God when we prayed, okay, but that was a big mountain. I didn't know what to do about it. So I prayed still, believing God, because I know that God can do impossible things.
Yes.
So we prayed that day, and later on he came and he told me, "Oh, I've gone for a test." And the thing, I told him, in fact, to go and test again. I told him to go back for another test. But here's what I think. I think that God can do all things. Okay? I think that God can do all things. There's a story in the Bible where 3 Hebrew children were cast into the fire. They were thrown into a burning fire, and God rescued them. They were not burnt by the fire. Now, because God can do all things. But because God did that is not the reason why somebody will see fire now and go and put himself inside it. That's what I think. You know, and I think that is what religious leaders should actually stress. The fact that, yes, God can heal you, that message should be for people already having the condition. But for those in whose hands it is to ensure that they do not bring in children with sickle cell into the world, they should definitely be told about how important it is to be wise. Wisdom, the Bible says, is the principal thing. So because God is able to do all things does not mean that we should now look at something that is glaringly very wrong and do it. So I think,
Yeah.
going back to your point, I believe that for those who are living with the condition presently, please, by all means, believe it. Jesus Christ said, whatsoever you ask the Father in my name, I will do it for you. That's what Jesus Christ said. And the power of God, I've seen the power of God walk and move so mightily in my life and in the lives of other people. God is a healer. If you ask God to heal you, God is able to heal you. But for those who are intending couples, those who are teenagers, those who are still going to get married, I think it's very, very important to remember that the Bible says that wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get you wisdom. Be wise.
Wisdom.
Be wise. Choose your spouse carefully. Choose your spouse carefully. Don't just say, oh, I love him. Oh, I cannot live without him. Oh, I cannot live without her. No, it's not just about you and her. You're going to have little ones tomorrow. You have to think about them. So that's what I would say. If I'm, a religious leader, that's how I would present it to my congregation. I don't know what you think about that, Pearl. You are smiling.
I don't understand because it's one of the really, really controversial topic in sickle cell awareness. I am a Christian. I believe in the healing abilities of Christ. But I do not believe in genotype change. I believe in living a crisis-free life while living with sickle cell. There are lots of people. Okay, personally, I have multiple results with AA. I have, I've gone to the hospital, I'll get AS, I'll get AA, and a lot of my friends who live with sickle cell like that, who would always get AA or AS. The same way some people, sorry, I'm not contradicting what you said anyway, but it's the same way some people who live with sickle cell. It's the same way some people who are AS will go to the hospital and get their results as AA. It's the same way those of us with sickle cell as AA too. Now, I have worked with a lot of sickle cell warriors in Ilorin and outside Ilorin, and then a lot of them, in fact, the belief in genotype test has killed a lot of people who live with sickle cell more than what sickle cell would have done to them. A lot of parents who want their children's genotype to change have taken their children with sickle cell to mountains, have taken them to spiritual homes where they flew hell out of their children. In Ilorin here, the partner lab where we use for our free genotype test, because we work with the hospital to run that. They had a program in their church, and then somehow the pastor said, okay, your genotype is going to change and all that, go get tested. And then he went to this hospital, Anchorage Hospital, and then the lab scientist was telling me this story and said, oh, when the guy came, he said, Mom, Mommy, I want to get tested again. I believe my genotype has changed and all that, sweet stuff. Mom was like, are you sure you did? And he said he wanted to do it. And then he got tested. And then he came out as SS. And then I think the pastor had sent him to a church, right? I think the pastor had sent him to a church, to one hospital earlier, where the result came out as AA. But within that week, he came to this lab where we use in Ilorin, and then it turned out SS. And before the end of the result, he fell ill again. Now, I'm not saying genotypes will not change, but apart from me, I know other sickle cell advocates in Nigeria who have taken up at least 100 of this kind of case of my genotype changes from churches. Oh, my genotype change in the church. They've taken them back to the labs. At least I know of 80% that came out still as SS. So some people will say, oh, you made their faith shaky, and that's why it came back as SS. I tell people, do not pray for genotype change. That's what I say, really. Just pray to have a crisis-free life. Being AA there are a lot of AA who are in the hospital right now.
Yeah.
And some of them have been there for
Of
3-4
course.
months. So I tell people it's not about the AA or the SS or the whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you are SS, you can live a crisis-free life. And that is why I believe in the living of God. Yes, there's nothing possible for God to do.
Mm-hmm.
And this is even outside trying to not trying to bring people who want to have sickle cell. I do not believe in genotype change because of what I have seen, because of the stories I have heard, because of those I have met. I know someone in Ibadan whose pastor told him that he should come and give a testimony in church that his genotype has changed, that it is only then that his genotype would change.
Wow.
So imagine he did testimony. Yes, the church will carry it and say, oh, genotype change in my church. Meanwhile, it was just his pastor's bargain with him that if not even bargain, the pastor was trying to, sell faith to him that when you do this, that is when your genotype will change. So there are a lot of stories like this. A lot. So me, I just tell people, pray for a crisis-free life. You can be AA and still have crisis and still be healed. So why not just pray to have a crisis-free life?
Yeah. I think that's key. Having a crisis-free life.
Free life.
I think even if you are if you are an SS patient and you are praying to God for healing, I think the healing would manifest itself as the absence of crisis.
Perfect. It's part of it, yes. It's not until you fall healed and pray for healing.
So it's not just about praying for a change in test results, but it's about praying for a change in the quality of life you have.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's it.
Okay, that's amazing. Can you give us? I think we'll begin to wrap up now. But can you give us an idea of the average costs of healthcare monthly for sickle cell warrior in Nigeria?
Okay. I like to say it differs. It differs for everybody because complications differs. Sickle cell affects everybody differently. Some people will not need. Some people may not need blood transfusions in a month. Some will need bi-monthly. Some will need once a year, and some may never. I've never been transfused.
You've never been transfused?
Never.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So it differs, and for someone who would have to be transfused, his calculations will be different from mine. For those who would have to get transfusions, some sickle cell complications differ. We have retinopathy, we have avascular necrosis, and all of that. For each of those complications, there are some drugs you have to be on monthly.
Okay.
So that would determine your calculation. So I'll say between 2,000 naira for those who probably do not really have crisis, but just want to take their drugs every day. So they can get their folic acid, Palidrine, and all with 2,005, thereabout. But let's just say within 2,005 to 30,000 naira. And some people spend 50,000 naira on their supplements every month.
Okay.
So between 2,000 naira, 50,000 naira.
50,000. Okay. All right. Lillian, I'm wondering if you have any questions. Hello, Lillian.
I'm with you.
Do you have any questions?
No question.
Okay. As we begin to wrap up now, Pearl.
Yes.
Okay. Enough of Pearl Sickle Cell Initiative and Ilorin Warriors Hub. Apart from these two things, who is Pearl? What does she do? And what is she passionate about apart from these two things?
Okay. Pearl is a young girl who is a teacher. Okay. I have a passion for quality education. Okay. I studied biology education in school, University of Ilorin. and I'm also an entrepreneur, like I said. But everything I do centers around my work as an advocate, really.
Okay.
I know it's weird, but then, yes,
I
run a business.
I suspected that.
So, so I run a business and I use returns from the business to fund the organization.
Wow.
That's good.
Yes. So it's basic everything I do, when I teach and I get money from teaching, somehow it goes into it, And then, okay, so I want to buy this for myself sometimes, but everything I do centers around my work as a sickle cell advocate, because I believe it's a call, it's a divine call, really.
Okay.
And I just put my all to it. I really do not find myself. I hope to have my school someday that would cater for people living with sickle cell. So it still centers around sickle cell. So where people who live with sickle cell will have a free education and
a common
everything. Yeah, so it's what I do is I'm a biology teacher and I run a business, a shoe business.
Is it a shoe business? You said a shoe business?
Thrift.
You run a business.
A thrift business. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Honestly, I'm inspired by you. I'm inspired by your work. Honestly.
Thank you.
Me too.
And personally, I think here on we are friends. I think here on we are friends. You can count on my support anytime. At any time, count on. I would like to be involved. If you need, I don't know how it would be, but we'll just see how it goes. But I'm saying that I love what you're doing. And anything that aims at making a positive impact on the society, I'm really down for it. And after hearing you talk about the statistics for Nigeria and knowing the realities, because it's all of us that are here, we know how seriously or unseriously we take the issue of genotype in Nigeria. And also hearing of the stigmatization is really heartbreaking. It's really, really heartbreaking. I can't imagine. I would even like to make this comment here. If a lady or a man who is AS, all right, falls in love with a partner that is ASS, if you are being refused by any of the families from getting married, I think that does not come under stigmatization, Pearl, does it?
I think a lady who is sickle cell, who is going through pains, who knows, or a guy who knows what sickle cell is, people who live with sickle cell from the very first date are already asking you,
Yeah.
So it definitely does not come under stigmatization, because people who live with sickle cell who are wise,
I understand,
would definitely would not even get to that point, really. Should not, because some people would anyway. For them anyway.
I think then the people that are the main problem are the people that have AS. The people that are AS. I think that's maybe
ASAC,
okay.
ASCT.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Because you can create the other forms of sickle cell also, apart from SS.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Wow. Please, do you have any final words for us before we go?
Okay, I feel like I've said everything during the chat. My final word would be, and again, sickle cell is a life of peace. People, men and women, young and old, must know that this is something that can be avoided totally. The best thing is get tested. Get your children tested even from as little as 5 years old, so that when it's time they begin to choose. It's not now when they're about to get married. And also, final word would be, get tested with your family, your kids, your children. For those who are matured already, get tested, know your genotype, get your partner tested, know their genotype, and see if it is compatible with yours. The highest point here is compatibility. It's not just about getting tested. And for people who live with sickle cell, you're humans, you deserve to live like human. And you must see yourself first as human before sickle cell.
And I think when you say compatibility, what you mean is when you join your genotype with this person's genotype, does it in any case scenario produce SS, SC, any form of sickle cell, right?
Yes.
Yes. SB.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's
so once
area.
Yeah.
He knows it very well. You know, I'm an engineer. Things.
Well, you know.
Okay, Pearl, it's been such an honor having you for this chat, and this is really amazing. Like you have, I'm personally have been impacted so much, you know, and I think the result is going to show in the coming weeks. Definitely, we're going to publish Health Talk this week, talking about sickle cell, but I think we're going to take it up a notch, you know, and probably do something on a larger scale, because we've really come to learn a lot from this. Thank you so much, Pearl, for making yourself available for this.
I'm glad.
Thank you so much for what you're doing in Kwara State, in Ilorin, and I'd like to encourage you to keep pushing, okay? Keep pushing. You may not have all the funds you need right now, but somehow they will come. They will keep coming. The same way they've been coming, they will keep coming. And more will come. And we believe that soon and very soon, as we keep creating awareness about this, more corporate organizations, different levels of government will wake up and see the need to look into the issue of sickle cell. And on a final note, I really want to say that it's very imperative, if you're a government official today, or you are the head of any corporate organization, this is a worthy cause to give to. This is a worthy cause to give to. I really, really encourage you to reach out to Pearl Sickle Cell Initiative. I believe you have your mail address or any contact information that you can share with us. Reach out to Ilorin Warriors Hub and give your donations. Let them know that you support what they are doing. Even if you don't have to give, if you can't make a donation, I think reaching out with a word of encouragement will also go a long way, right, Pearl? So I think this is a worthy cause to really gather together as a society and support. So I think it's very, very imperative for us as a nation and as a society to pay attention to the issue of sickle cell. Fight the stigma. Let us fight the stigma around sickle cell. The stigma is not healthy. At the workplace, in the issue of marriage, friendships, in social relations, generally, let us not discriminate against those living with sickle cell. They are human beings too, and should be availed every opportunity that a human being should have. And at the same time, let us live like responsible people and live more deliberately, thinking about the next generation, thinking about our children. It's not just about falling in love. It's also about ensuring that when you're married and you're making babies, you will not make any sickle cell baby, and add more to the terrible statistics we already have. We are producing half of the world's sickle cell babies.
Population.
Oh my God. I really hope Nigeria's health minister watches this particular interview, or somebody that's in a right position to get something done about this. It's definitely not good.
Effect exchange.
It's really, really sad. Thank you so much, Pearl, for being here. Lillian, any final words?
I'm glad to be. Yeah, thank you so much for the privilege. We can be reached on every social media handle: Instagram, Facebook at Pearl Sickle Cell Initiative, Facebook Pearl Sickle Cell Initiative, Instagram Pearl Sickle Cell Initiative, Ilorin Warriors Up 2 on Facebook. We are available. Our email address is pearlscfoundation@gmail.com. And that's it, really. Thank you so much for the platform to share. I am really grateful for the privilege to do this. Thank you so much, Miss Lillian, for finding me worthy. And thank you.
And you are more than worthy.
Honestly, she's more than worthy. Thank you for honoring our invitation.
I'm so grateful, Nama.
Thank you so much.
All
Okay.
right.
Well, this is where we draw a curtain to maiden edition of Health Talk interview. And we'd like to say a big thank you for staying through it, and very special thank you to Titilayo Pearl Makinde for being our very first guest on Health Talk interview on the Paul Anunaso Blog. Thank you so much once again, Pearl, for being here. And thank you, Lillian.
Thank you.
Here as well.
Thank you for all you do on the blog. It's amazing. You have a huge thing going, and the sky is your springboard. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night, sir.
Good night.